Here's the thing, most people spend their lives chasing money, chasing titles, chasing followers, chasing the next opportunity that promises to finally make them feel complete. They chase like greyhounds after a mechanical rabbit, running faster, panting harder, never asking the obvious question, what exactly am I becoming while I'm chasing? That's the trap. When you make results the prize, you make your identity negotiable. You're a shapeshifter for rent, and all day long, the world will rent you cheap. It turns out that real success, durable success, doesn't arrive because you ran faster after it. It shows up because you became the kind of person it can't ignore. You didn't chase it, you attracted it. Not with luck, with standards, with taste, with the relentless decision to be undeniable in the one thing that matters. When I dropped out of Reed, I wasn't chasing a diploma anymore. I was becoming a student of what moved me. I wandered into calligraphy because something in me lit up when I saw a page that breathed spacing, kerning, the dignity of a well-shaped letter. That wasn't practical, it was formative. It recalibrated my standards. Years later, that impractical obsession gave birth to typography that made computers human. That wasn't a chase, that was gravity. Most of you wake up and sprint into a marketplace that doesn't care about your sense of self. It will keep you busy with noise, it will distract you with applause, it will seduce you with almosts. But there's a quiet instrument that cuts through the carnival: identity. Who are you becoming? What will you refuse, even when it's profitable? What are your non-negotiables when nobody is watching? This is not motivational wallpaper. This is architecture. Results are decorations on the house. Identity is the foundation. When I got fired from Apple, I could have chased relevance. I could have stayed in front of cameras and performed former wonderkind on demand. Instead, I went back to a studio and started building again, first at Next, then helping a small animation studio find its voice. It wasn't about chasing headlines. It was about becoming a craftsman again. It was about falling in love with the work, with the people, with the process. That single choice, becoming instead of chasing, created a field around me that pulled incredible talent and opportunities into orbit. The return to Apple didn't happen because I camped outside the door begging for it. It happened because we became something that Apple needed again, a taste engine with a spine. Let me say it in a line. You don't get the future you want by demanding it. You get it by becoming the person your future demands. So if you're tired of chasing, of feeling like you're one hook away from happiness, stop, turn around. Face the harder work, upgrade your standards, align your identity with your vision, and act as if the outcome is inevitable. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're prepared to keep deciding your way into it. And one more thing, your time is limited. I've said it before because it's the only real metric. Death is the most honest advisor I ever had. Remembering I'll be gone soon strips away the fake metrics, likes, status, even comfort. It leaves only what matters: the quality of what I make and the person I'm becoming while I make it. If you get that right, results stop being prey you chase and start being a consequence you attract. Embody the vision, build the person before the product. People think we built Apple by chasing market share, by studying spreadsheets, by asking what would sell. No. We built by embodying a vision before it was visible. We behaved like the kind of company we wanted to be long before the results proved it out. We set standards that seemed unreasonable in the moment, and then we lived under them. That lifestyle, the choices, the taste, the no's, that's what wrote the story. When I was 20, I didn't have a 5-year plan. I had a sense of inevitability. Computers could be tools for the heart as much as the mind. They could be bicycles for the human spirit. That sentence shaped my behavior. It told me what to study: interfaces, fonts, human factors, not because I chased the next trend, but because I was busy becoming a kind of person whose default was empathy. If you truly believe technology should disappear behind the human, then you're not allowed to design like a show-off. You're not allowed to shove features in because you can. You're forced to remove, to refine, to protect elegance like it's oxygen. That's identity dictating craft. When I was pushed out of Apple, I learned something I couldn't have learned any other way. Positions come and go, principles are portable, Titles are costumes, identity is skin. I lost the costume and discovered the skin still fit. I was still obsessed with building insanely great products, still obsessed with stories that make you feel. That obsession is what drew remarkable people to 𝐜𝐴𝐸 and later to an animation studio that became a phenomenon. We weren't the biggest. We were becoming the most precise about what good felt like. People can smell that. Talent migrates to standards. Here's a test. If you were forced to operate for a year with no applause, no promotions, no press, no external validation, what would you still do? Because it's who you are. That's the vein to mine. When you get clear on that, your behavior simplifies, you stop bargaining with your values, you stop accepting work that pays you to be a counterfeit of yourself, you start behaving like the person your vision requires. Fewer maybes, more no, one or two radical yeses. And identity is contagious. When a founder or leader is grounded in a clear who, the team stops asking, what can we get away with? And starts asking, what's the right thing? The difference is, it's not small. One question breeds hacks, the other breeds craft. One creates a brand you apologize for, the other creates a promise your users can trust with their time and money, two things more precious than both of you realize. People talk about manifestation. I'm not interested in that word. I'm interested in embodiment. Don't visualize being world-class, behave world-class in the next 10 minutes. Don't post about standards, enforce them in your next design review. Don't daydream about a culture of focus. Say no to the next attractive distraction that isn't the mission. Do that enough times and you'll look up and realize you didn't chase the dream, you built the person who builds the dream. The 3 shifts, raise standards, align identity, expect results frameworks are only useful if they're blunt enough to hurt. Here are 3 shifts that will change your trajectory if you install them not as quotes on a wall but as behaviors in your day. Shift 1, raise standards and mean it. Standards are not wishes. Standards are the minimum you'll tolerate from yourself and your work. If you want to become magnetic, raise them until they're a little scary. When we said insanely great, it wasn't a slogan. It was the baseline. It meant we'd rather ship late than ship mediocre. It meant we'd throw away the almost right and keep grinding until the user would smile without knowing why. It meant we'd argue over the thickness of a bezel because an extra millimeter would haunt us later. That's not perfectionism. That's taste. Taste is empathy for the user at a resolution most people never bother to see. Here's how you raise standards practically. Pick one arena and choose a non-negotiable. All copy reads like a human wrote it. All meetings produce a decision, or they didn't need to happen. All commits tie to a real user outcome, then enforce it. Don't allow the team or yourself to slide because this sprint is busy. Trust me, they're all busy. The world respects the standards you enforce, not the ones you tweet. Shift 2, align identity, become the person who can do the work your vision demands. If your vision requires deep work, but your identity is the person who's always reachable, there's a misalignment. If your vision requires courage, but your identity is the person who avoids hard conversations, there's a misalignment. Align by making small, visible promises to yourself that match the future you want, and then keep them ruthlessly. I do 90 minutes of focused work before I open email. I ship one named artifact before noon. I read primary sources, not summaries. I ask, what can I remove before what can I add? Each promise is a brick. Stack enough and you've built a new identity. Your environment should conspire with your identity, not against it. If you're trying to become a maker, your desk shouldn't look like Tessin, an airport. If you're trying to become a leader with taste, your calendar shouldn't look like a patchwork quilt. Design your day so that your best behavior is the path of least resistance. That's not weak. That's smart design applied to a human yourself. Shift 3, expect results, because compounding behavior creates gravity. Expectation isn't arrogance, it's alignment. When you raise standards and align your identity, the only sane thing to expect is results, not instantly, but inevitably. I expected products to delight because we built with delight in mind, we argued for it, we cut for it, we stayed late for it. If your behavior is calibrated and consistent, expectation is not a wish, it's a forecast. Expectations are also communication. When a leader expects excellence, average isn't just disappointing, it's confusing. The team will stretch to resolve that confusion, or they'll leave. Either is fine. Becoming undeniable requires creating an environment that repels the wrong behavior and attracts the right people. That's gravity. That's how you stop chasing talent and start pulling it in. And if you need a fourth piece of rebar through all three shifts, here it is. Say no to 1,000 things. Focus is not about saying yes to the thing you love. It's about saying no to the 10 other things you also like, but that dilute your trajectory. Every yes is a tax on your identity. Learn the art of honest refusal. You're not here to be easy. You're here to be effective. If this is landing, if you feel a pull toward higher standards, a sturdier identity, and the calm confidence of expecting results, show it. If this idea resonates, if you believe in changing the status quo by becoming someone the future can't ignore, then subscribe to this channel. We're building a community of people who think differently, who hold themselves to a craftsperson's bar, and who refuse to outsource their identity to the algorithm. Join us. How obsession pulled talent in. Let me be specific about what happens when you embody a high standard. People with the same standard find you. In the early days, we didn't have the biggest salaries or the safest bet. What we had was a taste for the essential and the courage to defend it in public. That taste was loud. It leaked into our products, our presentations, our hallways. It said, if you care at this level, this is your home. If you don't, there are 1,000 other places you can go and be comfortable. I remember obsessing over type, over how a dialogue box should feel when it opened, over the space between icons as if those details were holy. People called it obsessive, and they were right. But that obsession was a flare. Designers and engineers who were allergic to half measures saw it and came running. They wanted to work somewhere that took their craft as seriously as they did. Standards recruit better than job postings. When I came back to Apple, we drew a simple grid, consumer and pro, desktop and portable, and cut everything else. That edit was a statement of identity. It told the world, we are not here to flood the shelf. We are here to make a few things outrageously well. That clarity didn't just simplify operations. It magnetized the right talent. People who wanted to make one thing insanely great instead of 10 things passable finally had a banner to stand under. Even outside of computers telling stories with technology, the same magnetism worked. We were ruthless about story, about pacing, about the feeling in your gut when a character took a breath. The world saw the result, but the team felt the identity. We care about how this lands in a human being. Not theoretically, right now. You can't fake that. The smell of genuine care is hard to miss. Here's the pattern I want you to steal. Define one vivid promise. Live like it's non-negotiable and let the world self-sort. The wrong people will call you difficult. The right people will call you home. Most leaders try to attract everyone and end up pleasing no one. Be specific enough to repel, be excellent enough to attract. That is how you stop chasing the right hires, the right customers, the right opportunities, and instead become the place, the product, the person that the right ones are looking for. Remember, the brand isn't the logo, the brand is the standard enforced consistently expressed through decisions. The logo just signs the work. The standard is the work. The 21-day identity upgrade challenge becoming isn't a hashtag, it's a calendar. For the next 21 days, treat your identity like a product in active development. You will have a roadmap. You will ship daily. You will measure not by applause but by evidence. Promises kept, decisions made, no's enforced, artifacts created. If you do this, you won't need to chase. You'll look up and realize you've become someone opportunities orbit. Week 1, standards, draw the line and hold it. Day 1, define your non-negotiables. Write 3 standards you will live under for the next 21 days. Make them behavioral, not abstract. Examples: no inputs before I create an output. Every workday begins with a named artifact shipped by 10 a.m. I say no to any meeting without an agenda and a decision owner. Read them aloud. If your voice wavers, tighten the language until it doesn't. Day 2, design the environment. Your environment either supports your identity or sabotages it. Strip your desk to the essentials. Remove any app from your first phone screen that doesn't help you make or decide. Turn off notifications by default. Schedule 2 short email windows late morning and late afternoon after you've shipped. Make the best behavior the easiest behavior. Day 3, one promise kept publicly. Write a single sentence for what you will create by Friday that your future self would thank you for. Draft, the landing page, prototype, the onboarding flow, outline 3 chapters, ship the pitch deck, tell someone you respect. Stakes convert intentions into behavior. Day 4, the subtraction pass. Pick one thing you're working on and remove something that complicates it, a step, a feature, a paragraph. If it hurts a little, you're doing it right. Identity is forged by what you're willing to kill. Day 5, the language audit. Rewrite the description of your work so a bright 12-year-old could explain it to their friend. Eliminate jargon. Replace optimize with make faster. Replace alignment with decide together. Words are interface. Clear words upgrade identity by forcing clear thought. Day 6, the craft hour. Spend 60 minutes obsessing over a detail most people would ignore, but that your future user will feel. Spacing, naming, handoff, load time, the first sentence of an email. Become the person who cares at this altitude. Day 7, integrity check. Review days 1-6. Where did you honor your standards? Where did you flinch? Write a short after-action note. The act of noticing is how identity learns. Week 2, alignment. Behave like the person your vision requires. Day 8, time architecture. Block your calendar for 90 minutes of deep work each morning. Door closed. Protect it like a board meeting with your future. Use a timer. Work on the one promise until the bell rings. No inputs, no toggling. When you're done, name the artifact you shipped. Naming makes it real. Day 9, the courage reps. Identify one hard conversation or decision you've delayed because it threatens comfort. Have it today. Keep it short, clear, kind. Your identity cannot upgrade while you outsource courage to later. Day 10, the user visit. Talk to one real human who will use what you're building or read it, wear it, live with it. Ask what's frustrating, what's delightful, what's missing. Align your identity with service, not with performance for your peers. Day 11, the no muscle. Say no 3 times today. Decline a meeting. Cancel a low-leverage side project. Remove a metric that confuses more than it clarifies. Write each no down like a rep in the gym. Focus is compound interest powered by refusal. Day 12, learn like a beginner. Study a primary source in your field, not a summary, not a thread. Paper, book, talk, manual. Take notes in your own words. Identity upgrades when you choose depth over candy. Day 13, ship imperfect. Publish a draft to a trusted circle knowing it's not done. Invite critique. Becoming is allergic to perfectionism. You can polish later. First, become the person who ships. Day 14, Sabbath for soul. 1 day of deliberate recovery. Walk without headphones. Cook. Read a physical book. Call someone you love. Silence isn't a break from becoming. It's how identity digests. Week 3, expectation. Communicate gravity and keep building. Day 15, state the standard out loud. Open your next meeting by stating one of your non-negotiables. We will leave with a decision. We delete rather than defer. We are designing for clarity over cleverness. Expect the room to rise to it. Day 16, the billboard test. Write a 1-sentence billboard for your project a stranger would understand at a stoplight. A pocket computer that's also your phone. A tool that makes scheduling meetings vanish. If your sentence is wobbly, your identity is still negotiating with complexity. Cut until the line sings. Day 17, recruit by standard. Reach out to one person you admire and invite them into your work, not with flattery or perks, but with a clear standard. We care obsessively about X. If that's your oxygen, let's talk. People move for standards more than comp packages. Day 18, the invisible touch. Inject one tiny act of delight or respect that no one would demand but everyone will feel. a better welcome email, a smoother handoff, a kinder policy. Expect results because you planted seeds like this daily. Day 19, review the evidence. Look at your artifacts, your nose, your calendar. Do they reflect the person you're becoming? If not, adjust the environment, not your aspiration. Becoming is a systems problem, fix the system. Day 20, ask for the sale. If your project is ready for a commitment, money, time, permission, make the ask. Expect a yes because your behavior has earned it. If you hear no, treat it as data, not identity. Iterate and ask again. Day 21, commit to the next horizon. Identity isn't upgraded once. It's versioned. Write the next 21-day promise. Keep the 3 shifts alive. Raise standards. Align identity. Expect results. This is a loop, not a ladder. You don't climb out of becoming. You live inside it. A few scripts to keep you honest. Script for saying no with respect. That's not in service of the promise I made for these 21 days. If it's still essential next month, I'll revisit. Script for protecting deep work. I'm unreachable 8:10 a.m., building the thing you hired me to build. If a building is burning, call. Otherwise, I'll respond after I ship. Script for expecting results. Here's the standard, here's the artifact, here's the ask. Your clarity is the gravity, use it. And yes, stay hungry, stay foolish. Hunger keeps you curious enough to keep upgrading. Foolishness keeps you from chasing the applause of the serious and missing the joy of making. The point of becoming isn't to look impressive. It's to make something that makes someone's life meaningfully better, starting with your own. One more thing, be undeniable, then let the results arrive. I want to leave you with the simplest, hardest directive I know. Be undeniable. Don't be loud. Don't be everywhere. Don't be everything. Be the person who keeps a small set of promises without fail. Be the person whose work carries the fingerprints of care. Be the person who would rather make one thing right than a dozen things noisy. Do that for a season and watch what happens. People who value that work will find you. People who don't will move on. Both outcomes are progress. Remember how this started. Chasing keeps you stuck because it trains you to outsource your worth to whatever runs faster today. Becoming sets you free because it roots your life in choices you control. Every time I said no to something shiny, every time I removed one more distraction, every time I argued for the essential over the elaborate, I wasn't chasing an outcome, I was voting for an identity. Those votes compound. If this speaks to you, if you're done sprinting after rabbits and ready to build the person your future requires, show it. If the idea resonates, if you believe in changing the status quo from the inside out, then subscribe to this channel, because we are building a community of people who think differently. We hold each other to a higher bar. We share the tools and the taste to keep becoming. The journey doesn't end here. If you are committed to putting a dent in the universe by upgrading your identity, raising your standards, and expecting the results that follow, subscribe and press the like button to join the movement. Now, close the tab, choose one promise you'll keep before noon tomorrow, say no to one distraction, and go do something wonderful.